Babes, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing lessons that I learned from 2024 and that we're not carrying into 2025 because you gotta let the cycle die. You can't keep doing the same things, same patterns that you're doing before. I should know because, Lord forgive me, I have definitely been in a lot of cycles and I don't want anybody else to get in cycles. It's so much better just to be in peace, so much better to be in love than just do what you want and think that it's gonna go out right. So we're gonna learn from our past and put it to our future. So here are some things that I learned that I know that would be helpful for you in 2025. Focus on you. I know y'all heard that TikTok sound. Focus on yourself. And I say that to also say in the same barrier, protect your peace. It is very important for you to make yourself a priority and not just a priority above other people, but a priority of a person to take care of, a priority of a person to love, give attention to give time to, because realistically, you have to think of yourself like as a child. You be there when it's sad, you gotta teach it. I'm saying it, but like them. You gotta correct them, you gotta teach them, same in the same process you have to do for yourself, because you're not going to be able to grow beyond what you already know if you're not tested. And, God is so funny because God really wants us to learn the way that is most edifying, and that's by correction, that's by learning from your mistakes. But that feeling of reflection and that feeling of knowing that, like, okay, now I'm doing better from what I used to do, it ends up bringing him more glory and ends up making you feel more grateful. So in and all, it's a really good experience. But in order to have that type of mentality, you have to want to focus on yourself. You want to be able to focus on edifying yourself. There's a lot of people in the world that don't make their priority, and because they don't make that priority, they don't get the things they want. They are unhappy with the lives they are given because they are only just taking and receiving what the world gives them rather than just actually making the initiative to get what they want. We don't want that for 2025. We want to be able to make our own choices, and not even our own choices, but put ourselves forward. And in that chance, we might have to humble ourselves. We might have to do things for a little bit that we don't want. That breaks the cycle of us being stagnant and not getting to a place where we want to be. And I heard this from a girl online, but she says, if you don't change, you choose, right? You're making the decision to keep going with your habits, with your decisions, if you do not choose to do better. And that's a very big aspect of a lot of people's lives. A lot of people want better, but not a lot of people are going to get better. It's really the people that go into themselves, right? And think, okay, what am I doing wrong and where do I need to be? And it's a really important self-reflection question for a lot of us, especially when it comes to 2025 coming up. What do you want this year to serve for you? Because a year can go by really fast, but a lot can happen. So are you being really intentional about the months that you're going to be in? Are you trying to be as systematic as possible to make sure you're getting to this point in time? I'm starting to realize life as like a project, right? So say if you have a project for work or for school and it's a very long-term project, right? You want to be like, January I want to be here, February I want to be here, March you want to be here. But it's not just about like, just throwing out goals willy-nilly, but it's actually making realistic steps. So then you guys are continuously growing, even if it's 1%. The same type of mentality you have to have for when the new year starts. For me, I had to realize, when will you be sick of the life that you're living now? When will you actually want to give up the things that you have now for better? Like, you guys seen this cartoon where it's like Jesus is holding like a real big teddy bear behind him, but you got this small little teddy bear and you just think this is the best thing in the world because it's a little teddy bear. But God wants so much more for you. When will you be sick and tired of what you have and actually come above all the challenges, all the things that are hurting you, and you choose better for yourself, even if they're really hard decisions? There are times where we have to leave people in our lives, but those are times where you really got to prepare yourself and be like, okay, I'm about to make a hard decision. I have to be the most logical and understand what is better for me and not live in my emotions. I hate the focus, whatever, because sometimes it can get really selfish, but realistically, there's times where you're going to have to hurt yourself a bit to grow, and that's really necessary, right? You have to go against what you want to grow. So a point of that, of focusing on you, it makes yourself a priority in general, serves what you feel and your desires, but it also makes sure that you're making progress and that you're not just being stagnant and living in the past and in your feelings. So for 2025, I learned that routine is really necessary. You cannot be in the same spot by doing the same things over and over again. It's not going to end up being any different. So if you ever heard that quote where it's like, insanity is doing the same thing but expecting different results, I realized routine is so insane. Like, it's such an insane way of life when you realize that God has really made our lives to be so systematic, but it's us that doesn't like the systematic sometimes. Like we enjoy it at times, but then once we kind of like, okay, I don't need it, I want to get rid of the responsibility, but also the reliance on a routine and just put in our own hand, which is really funny because we shouldn't be trusted with a lot of things, especially not the well-being of our lives, and just put it all in the hands of God. So that's why it's really important to have a routine, because we are very likely to try to steer away from it. But once you start yourself steering away, it might just mean a pivot, right? It just may be, okay, I want to sleep in a little longer, so I'm gonna do this, but then I'm also gonna have to sacrifice this, stuff like that. You can't really go into 100% of every one of your desires, but you also can't go like cold turkey on a lot of things, because sometimes it's just not efficient, right? Either it's going to be efficient or it's going to be just too addicting. You got to pick either one. But understand that routine is really important. If you guys want a video, I could definitely do a video on routine, how to make a systematic routine, especially with the ones that I've been doing. Time blocking and understanding your energy levels, understanding your interests, what you want to have done, your schedule, what's expected outside of yourself, then what are your internal expectations, all of that combines into your schedule. And you do want to have some freeway into certain things, especially choices, but not too much, because when you have too much, then you will be like, okay, well, now I'm not going to do this, now I'm not going to do that. No, you don't want to get yourself comfortable thinking that you call the shots. Your desires do not call the shots, your mind does. If you want to improve in 2025, not only do you have to protect your peace, but you have to show love, you have to serve. Those go hand in hand, because sometimes not a lot of people can find those boundaries, and especially when you're in work, school, friendships, relationships, there's times where boundaries are crossed, and you have to be able to line them up as much as possible. Use your discernment, keep that balance going. So protecting your peace really just looks like you being very protective over your mind, your body and soul, and your spirit. And it goes into the music that you listen to, the people you talk to, the conversations you have. You have to be in a mindset where you're willing to choose the 1% and not the 99, because you know that the 1% is going to help you better on. This is really hard if you live in your flesh a lot. So when I was talking about before, when will you be sick of living the same life that you are living? You really have to understand, I have to be so intentional with my daily life if I want something to change. I have to be very intentional with what my brain is already used to, and to change that, it's going to use a lot of details. A lot of different things have to be switched around. My environment has to change. What I listen to has to change. Really getting yourself in the mindset of protecting your peace being your number one priority. But with that, serving and giving love to other people is also a very much needed release that your body and your soul need. There's only so much selfish care that you could do that will help you, right? You need other people in your life. That's why humans need companionship. Humans don't necessarily need companionship just for you to tell me and affirm me that I'm a good person and I do good things. I need to be able to serve, so then I feel like I'm wanted in society, and I feel like that I am a participant in society. And that's something that goes a little bit deeper in regards to like our bio, how we're made up, but also it's very spiritual as well. Serving keeps you very humble, and it keeps you diligently moving, because when you're able to serve for other people, you are very well versed in serving in yourself. Jesus says that the number one commandment is, loving Lord with all your heart. Then the second one is love people as much as you love yourself. So with that, people and you come hand in hand, and you really have to put aside and understand that people are not the enemy, and you are not an enemy in certain things. We're all God's children, and we're all placed on this planet to serve each other and to help each other in our problems, challenges, and even in our successes. And once you understand that people can help you and not hurt you, and really live in that and live a lifestyle that is about serving, you'll be able to serve yourself a lot better. So ultimately serve God better, because it's giving glory to God for how much you serve. To understand, people are not the enemy, but it is a spiritual battle that we're fighting. And when you put people with that responsibility, that burden, once you put them as that, it's really hard for you to gain a mindset of serving. And in that, you won't be able to serve for yourself as much as you could, in that you may not be able to serve for God. And then for 2025, I would hope that you would want a lifestyle that is very broadening, very growing, a learning experience. So just having a separate compartment for it is really important. People that just haven't made the time in order to do it, I really suggest for 2025 to be that year that you make time to do it, because I promise you, it'll make yourself care about yourself more once you care about other people more. Vision is really, really important. I always suggest, I have literally like 3-4 notebooks and my notepad on my phone to talk about my dreams, my vision, the things that I want, because when I have people ask me, I can say the opportunity presented to me, and I'm like, do I want this? Is this part of what God has for me and what God wants for me? I line it up with my vision. I'm like, okay, this is good. Okay, this is not good. It makes things so much more clear when you're going through your life if you have written down vision and you have written down goals. Vision is very important, because also it does say in Proverbs, the people perish without vision. You don't want to perish just because your vision wasn't written down. That's the first step, right? And we get so scared of our vision because it's too big, but in reality, you have to get motivated by that. Lord, your God did not put things in your brain for no reason. You're doing the world a favor by listening to God from what he wants you to do. Don't ever think you're doing a disservice to God or other people when you want to follow your dreams. That's why I 100% believe that if you work for the things that you get and you get them, you know, that's fruit of your labor. So don't ever feel unmotivated to do so, and don't ever feel like peer pressure you need to succumb to other people's desires and wants, even if yours is different or yours is like bigger. Okay, don't because when you reach the stars you can land on the moon, and there's some people that never been to the moon, so don't even worry about that. Like, no. So basically the last thing, which I feel like is, I kind of touched on this before, but humility is going to be really important for 2025, because if the Lord is wanting to grant you blessing, learning opportunities, getting yourselves in the right circles, having the right conversations, and not even just for career, but just for edification in general, you have to be able to lower yourself in order for you to obtain this information. What are things for you? What are things for God? And what are things for other people? And in that, humility is something that you need for all three of those factors. So if you haven't practiced humility now, practice it now. So then when 2025 comes and those opportunities arise, you are not looking lost. You are looking ready to learn. You're thirsty for knowledge. You're thirsty for wisdom. And people can see that in you. God can see that in you. And you can see it in yourself. And because you're thirsty and you're so humble to bring yourself down, you'll treat yourself so much better in regards to be like, no, I'm a humble individual. Like, I deserve to be treated X, Y, and Z. And your body and your mind will just start moving as such. Again, placing that intention on you, and then everything follows up afterwards. Whoever humbles themselves should be exalted, and whoever exalts themselves will be humbled. So don't, you already know the other side of the coin. You already know the end of the other story. So don't even try to attempt it. I really hope you guys align with this message, and I really hope that 2025 could be your year, and you know, God restores, God changes. So it's so possible for it to happen. You just have to allow it to happen, and you have to make that choice to allow it to happen. All right. So I hope you guys have a great day, and be blessed, and I'll see you next video.